let's be for real, all right? Let's be so for real about this fragrance right now. I'm going to be giving you my honest opinion, full review, pros and cons of Dior Sauvage Elixir. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Now, this was actually given to me by one of my followers. In case you haven't seen my fragrance haul video that I did, she sent me a full-size bottle of Elixir, a couple Creed fragrances, and just like 50 to 60 samples. It was crazy. And I'm super grateful. But let me just tell you right now, is Sauvage Elixir worth it? To me, yes, it is. All right. I was actually wearing this fragrance as my scent of the day yesterday, and I'm wearing it again today. And yesterday I did one spray. Today I did 2 sprays, both on the back of my neck. And if you're new to my channel, you're probably like, you're a girl, you're wearing Sauvage, why are you doing that? Like, I don't care. I don't care. I wear what I like, and I wear also what I don't like to see how it performs. And Sauvage Elixir performs. I'm serious. Like, this thing, one spray, it lasted over 10 hours, no problem. I know I have like some sunscreen here that's not coming off my face, or that's not rubbing in correctly. I'm sorry. Anyways, this scent goes. Like, if you are wondering about performance, you don't have to trip about it with this scent. I'm telling you right now, a little goes a long way. Now, when I say pros and cons to Sauvage, I would say that a con of just wearing a Sauvage fragrance in general is just the popularity of this line. This is the most popular fragrance on planet Earth. And yes, I'm talking about both feminine and masculine scents. Between those two, Sauvage, super popular. All right. So the downside with getting something like this is the fact that if you were to wear it and let's say you're around somebody you like and they'd be like, oh yeah, you smell like my ex, or you smell like my dad, my brother, my cousin. That's how popular it is, that you just cannot, you have to know that if you are to get a fragrance, a Sauvage scent, don't be surprised if somebody says you smell like their ex. Because yes, a lot of people, if they do wear fragrances, majority of people out there, you know that if it's a masculine scent, it's probably going to be Sauvage. In fact, if you walk into a Macy's, a Sephora, an Ulta, this is the scent that they point you to. Not the Elixir in particular, but Dior Sauvage in general. And honestly, I think a lot of the negative association with it is mainly targeted to the EDT concentration. But at the end of the day, people don't really talk too much about concentration, right? They're not like, oh, like when you meet a random person on the street and they know Sauvage, they're not going to tell you, oh yeah, that EDT is so crazy. They'll just automatically label that as Sauvage, right? So between the EDT, the EDP, and the Elixir, I think the EDT is the one that gave the reputation it has right now because it's a very peppery, kind of a sharp fragrance in comparison to the other two that I mentioned, right? So when you have a fragrance that's super popular and you have a lot of people that don't know how to apply fragrances where they're literally drenching themselves in the Sauvage, that's just a recipe for disaster because now everybody else around you at that party you're going to, at the bar you're going to, the club you're going to, they're probably going to get a headache because you're trying too hard to smell good when it's a fragrance that already performs. All right. So again, that's just the negative side to it. Please, when you're applying a fragrance that already has good performance, let it be something that's naturally magnetic. And to me, that's the way that I like to rock fragrances is just, less is more, right? If I'm walking by somebody and they catch a whiff of my scent trail and they're just like, oh yeah, wow, that smells nice. Or if I'm just standing there and the fragrance is projecting and somebody in my radius compliments me or like it just kind of reels them in, again, in a magnetic sort of way, not in a way of like, hey, everybody, smell me right now, like a punch you in the face sort of aggressive approach to desperately wanting to get compliments. Because to me, even if a fragrance does smell good, that does turn a lot of people off when they smell it because you could just tell like this person's desperate, and it's just not cool. It's very like, to me, kind of like tacky if like you could tell someone's like trying so hard to like get a compliment or smell good on something that it makes people actually just completely avoid it. And I've had followers actually comment that like in my videos, in my DMs, they'd say like, Melissa, I don't think that this fragrance lasts because I did 20 sprays, nobody complimented me. I did 30 sprays, nobody complimented me. And it's like, no shit, they're not going to compliment you because you come across as a douchebag. So just don't try so hard, you know? But anyways, going back to the Elixir in general, if you want to know the note breakdown, I'm sure you can go on Fragrantica. Like, it smells like cardamom, right? There is cardamom, there's a little bit of licorice in here. But even if I were to read you note for note what this smells like, when you actually go smell it, you're not going to be like, oh yes, I pick up on everything she said. All right, like it's blended really nicely. It's just kind of like your typical blue fresh fragrance that goes in a slightly different direction because the way this dries down goes a little bit more sweet. And when I say that this has a little bit more complexity to it and it makes it a little bit more challenging, I really do mean that. But I mean it in a way that is still going to be lovable to the general public. When I say things like, oh, that's a little bit complicated, some people, when they hear that, they think niche, right? Like if you're talking to a person that has a bunch of niche fragrances and they hear that that a fragrance is complex, they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's something daring. It's not going to go that direction, like that far in like the fragrance realm. It's going to go in the direction of like, okay, Sauvage is typically a freshie, but there's like a sweetness undertone that I'm totally digging right now with the smell of it. To me, in fact, right now, I'm kind of picking up on this, not pine tree. It's like, you know, Christmas trees when you're gonna go pick out a Christmas tree and you're just like walking by and there's a sort of like green pine smell just a little bit. I get some of that with the Elixir and it reminds me of Christmas time. So I kind of like that. I'm not sure if anybody else's skin chemistry does that with this scent, but I definitely pick up on that with the Elixir. But what I love about this fragrance is, to me, it's a great transitional scent. So if you did decide to wear this in the daytime, yes, you would get that freshness. But let's say you can't come home from work and you immediately have to go to a dinner. And then after that dinner, everybody's going to the bar. It's going to just seamlessly, just kind of like, it'll transition really well for whatever kind of situation that you have going on, you know? So this, it does smell good in the daytime, but it's a nice nighttime banger for sure. Like it gets so much better the more it dries down. And kind of like I said in the beginning of this video, or I don't know if it was this one or another one, but the way that this performs on skin, already fantastic. It's already like over 10 hours with 1 to 2 sprays, no problem. If you apply this on clothes, it will definitely last a lot longer. So like what I would do, let's say if you're going on a date with somebody, you give them, it's cold outside, you give them your jacket or your scarf, and there's just a little bit of the Elixir on it, and you drop them off home, and then that person has that jacket, and before they wash it to you and give it to you, they'll smell it and be like, yeah, no, that smells really good. And then boom, that association is there of, okay, this person smells like this. And you know, that in a sort of way, it can absolutely be your signature scent, you know? Now, in terms of seasons to wear Sauvage Elixir, I don't find it to be a summertime fragrance. I would not wear this in the high heat, all right? I do think that fall, winter would be good, but I still think you could get away with wearing this in the springtime just because of the versatility that I mentioned. But if you're somebody that doesn't have any Sauvage, but you just love the smell, you love the DNA of it, and you're like, which one should I get? Which one will be like my workhorse fragrance? I would recommend to you the EDP. Even though the EDP is not my favorite, with me putting my bias aside, that is a scent that will smell good in all 4 seasons. And you will definitely make the most out of that, especially if you're just starting to build your collection right now. But if you're somebody that, let's say you already own the Sauvages and you just want to add this to the lineup, or you're a fragrance connoisseur, then yeah, I think that it'd just kind of be worth it to have in your collection, just because if you're a collector, you typically want to collect whatever you can, right? But for just your average person that is just looking for maybe that one-shot fragrance, then I would say steer clear of the Elixir and just go for something that is going to be more usable in all sorts of situations like the EDP. But if you asked me across the board which is my favorite Sauvage, this one hands down. I think there's something about this that I just find sexier. I do find it to be more grown. As somebody in my late 20s right now, like it's just something that it doesn't smell childish to me. You know, sometimes when you smell certain blue fragrances in general, like some of them you'll be like with Scandal by Jean Paul Gaultier, right? That's not a blue fragrance, but I'm like, okay, that smells like a 19-year-old that is going partying with like his frat brothers or something like that. That's the sort of, that is the demographic I see with that certain scent. But with Sauvage Elixir, I see this as more of like a late 20s, 30s, or late 20s and up sort of fragrance, you know? And if you're somebody, let's say, that was already rocking Sauvage as a teenager, and then as you're getting older, you're like, I'm kind of outgrowing this smell. I still like it, but I want something that's going to kind of take me to the next level, that's going to just kind of mature with me through life, right? Then I would say, okay, bump yourself up to the Elixir, because it's like I said, it's a more grown fragrance. And in case I didn't already mention it in the beginning, yeah, this is definitely a much more masculine scent. And also I need y'all's help with something, all right? Because I am going to scent explore this year. And I put it in my Instagram story because somebody was like, hey, you should wear Sauvage Elixir to scent explore in New York around all the niche heads. And they'll just like have a meltdown basically, right? And I was thinking about it. And I'm actually contemplating it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should. Maybe I should, because I know that with Scent Explore, it's pretty much all niche fragrances. And the people that attend these sort of events are usually wearing niche scents. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should roll in with Sauvage Elixir, because like I've told y'all, I don't really care about designer versus niche. When people are like, oh, I could never with designer, like I'm strictly like a niche person, and they sort of have that sort of hierarchy to themselves. I mean, to each their own, right? But for me, I would never like shit on designer scents, because I would want to elevate myself with niche. You know, in fact, there's a lot of niche fragrances that just straight up don't smell good, but people want to get them because they think it gives them some sort of status. I would rather smell good than have something that I would hope people would find as a status symbol. I don't need that sort of fulfillment or validation from other people, right? It's fragrance at the end of the day. So I'm contemplating it. So y'all let me know in the comment section if I should. I think it'd be really interesting to kind of be the only person in there wearing designer. And if it is a designer scent, it's going to be a Sauvage fragrance. So that'd be different for sure. But I don't know the type of reactions I'd get from people. It'd be a good one. But anyways, overall, like I said, thumbs up with if it's worth it. To me, yes, it is, especially if you already have an established collection, but you just want something to kind of keep like as a back pocket fragrance that, you know, okay, if I throw this on, I will smell good. People will like it. Downside, the popularity. People know this sort of DNA. Don't be surprised if, you know, people make comments on that. But hands down, my favorite Sauvage that they've made. I love the direction that they went in, because it's like they still took something, like you take something old, you take something new, you make it into something that is enjoyable just across the board. And with Sauvage Elixir, I can't say enough about it. I got a lot of love right now and positivity for this fragrance. So don't be surprised if you see this in my top 5 video at the end of the month, because with the way that this has been smelling on me, y'all, I can't lie. If I was somebody else and I smelled me in passing, I'd be like, she smells so sexy. Like, this is a sexy fragrance, okay? So you let me know in the comment section below what you think of Sauvage Elixir. If you're into it, if you're not into it. And shout out to my follower that gave this to me, because you're a real one. Because now I'm about to, like, people tease me for like, oh, they're like, oh, Melissa, you're a menace, blah, blah, blah. They say that sort of stuff to kind of just mess with me. But this scent, it will make me act up, okay? I admit it will make me act up, all right? So anyways, let me know in the comment section what fragrance you wear that makes you act up, and I'll see you in the next video, all right? Take care. Bye.